GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our weekly wrap-up of what's been happening on our radar in the realm of Second Amendment stuff. And tonight's been a little hectic, and I kind of screwed up on the poll there. So you got the option this week on how was this week for 2A between great and good, which isn't really a very good one. So I guess I should probably redo that. So we'll end that and get started here with talking about the show. So I'm distracted because I'm redoing the poll. And each week we go live and talk about what's been going on with the week, commentary, awareness, and touch and base each week, because sometimes it's important, sometimes it's not. And when it's not, people tend to leave. People tend to walk away. You know, it's not necessary, it's not important, it's not on the radar, and that's normal, right? Walk away from it. So thanks to our Patreons, the people that subscribe to what we do, both here on YouTube channel membership and over on the Patreon platform, we're able to keep a consistent focus on this each week. And if for no other reason than to chart some what people's interests are each week, and then their level of participation. So with that, we have a real poll out there for the people that are watching us live. We do this show live on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific, which makes it midnight Eastern. And the people that are joining us live participate in the poll, give us some feedback, and are part of the conversation. If you're listening to this in the future, either as a podcast, a lot of people listen to it as a podcast, or as a video or whatever, then feel free to be part of this conversation as well by leaving a comment. You're just a time traveler, you're just leaving a comment in the future past for us, but you're doing it in your present, but then in your future, you'll get a return to that comment, because we do read the comments and we do appreciate them. They help us guide where we take our projects. All right, that being said, we'll screen. Oh, you know what? I don't even have the stuff over here. I have to do something while we're here. I need to, let's see, open up this and grab the description and copy it. Now we'll share a screen here so that you can see something on the screen if you want. And that'll be our one monitor here. And no puppy cam tonight. He's being a spaz. This is one of the comment periods that we'll be talking about. But what we'll be doing here is opening up Substack. And we'll be going to the dashboard over there. And you can see how fast the internet is here. Click on that dashboard, new post, eventually a new post, and there we go. We'll call it the weekly wrap up. And it is Daily Gun Show episode 1585. 1,500 episodes on this podcast. We got the Patreon blog. You can pay attention to it there. I'm posting it on Substack as we speak. We also have an Instagram. A lot of people check out our stuff there. Of course, you may be watching this on YouTube as we speak. We'll grab the... Actually, I just open it up. We'll go back to the video here and post that link. And that's important on Substack so that it has a thumbnail. Okay, maybe not. Grab this. A lot of people are afraid to put their show together live at the beginning of their show, but I'll do it. I don't care. So we'll be talking about the news of the week, and we'll be talking about some other stuff like 2A Talk, and we'll give that 2A Talk its own heading. See what we did there? We'll give this news of the week its own heading, right? This is why we like Substack, because it formats it so nicely like this. There we are. And eventually we'll get down to somewhere in here. It said gun talk. There we go. Format that. This is a little lesson in how to work Substack if you've never used it before. It's essentially a blog. It puts the stuff out here so that people can find it. They can subscribe to it here if they want. But what I like about it most for this is that it formats it so nicely. And we get these options like I'm doing here to put headings in and stuff. YouTube lets us type. This is literally the same info from YouTube. It's just in a much nicer format over here to read. And we'll do the rest of it later. Oh, wait. No, we won't. We'll go back and edit that right away because the beginning of it is pretty bad. And we'll open that up. Why is Brooks' thing coming in first? Interesting. We'll edit this. Wow, it's taking forever. All right, so now that we're editing it, why isn't this a video? Cut that, turn it into a video. Nope. Upload. No, I just want to post a video there. I don't know why you're not doing it. Maybe because it's live, I guess. So we'll put all this into bullet points because this is the meat of the week here. So we'll grab all that, put it into bullet points. All right. So what all stuff do we got going on here? All right, there. Oh, I see. End of September is this one. A lot of people would have this all prepared ahead of time, but a lot of people are doing this full time. They got nothing else to do. So let's see. Second course is, there we go. And then we have the definition of engaged in the business. And then we have the ATF for powder storage one. All right, now we'll save that. And that'll be close enough to get the show started. All right, so here we go. Take a look at that poll. So far, everybody's saying good, and a couple of people are saying fair. That's interesting. So nobody thinks it was a great week for 2A? What the heck does it keep showing Brooks' thing over there for? Did I get the wrong link? Put a YouTube link there. I guess it has to be a video or something. So whatever. So let's see. So this is, again, the Daily Gun Show, episode 1585. Welcome. We'll just put a beginning in here, and we'll tell the editors to act like this thing never, like it just started right now. Let's just act like it started right now.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right. A bit of a bomb dropped in Albuquerque. What happened in Albuquerque? Woods is saying his answer is always good, except that the sky is falling. So we'll say hey to the people joining us tonight. Artac and Daughters was the first one to say hey. Welcome. Woods is out there from Washington. G23 joining us tonight, as well as Defense Dad. Good evening to everyone. And Chris, I think that's everybody. If you're out there, vote in the poll. If you're out there, you feel like being part of the show, say something. And again, if you're listening in the future, welcome, and leave a comment, and that's how we know you're out there. So we mentioned that it's on Patreon, it's on Substack, and it's on Instagram. Of course, you're watching it on YouTube, and we try to post as often as possible on other platforms. When you're on those platforms, say hey, and that way we know which ones to spend time on. We've got some news of the week here, some Second Amendment focused stuff, and then some gun stuff. Second Amendment stuff is pretty big this week, and we'll take a look at it. So the first thing is the FBI NICS have come out with their numbers for this year or last year, whatever, the new numbers, and those are being used as encouragement from some people, and I've heard other people ignore them. So the numbers are essentially the same numbers as 2019. So any massive peak that we had in 2020 existed, and now it's gone down to the same numbers as 2019. And if you look in trends over the years, do I still have that open? No, I guess I don't. If you look at trends over the years, it'll be interesting to see how this trend continues on. If we as gun owners have been good ambassadors to keep these new gun owners on board, so to speak, and growing, or if this is just one of their hobbies and they'll move on as quote unquote gun owners for the rest of their lives. Let's move on. We got S, and how many national level organizations are paying attention to that instead of just chatting up that we had a bunch of high numbers. All right, so the next thing is Bill 2736 allows for recreational resources of outdoor wellness. That's how they got to the ARROW Act, allowing for recreational resources for outdoor wellness. Stupid. But they wanted to call it the ARROW Act, I guess. Anyway, that's supposed to combat the restriction of money for safety, firearms, education, and awareness safety, hunter safety. So we've got that happening at the national level. I've got a bunch of different dates in here, and some of these may have changed, but essentially we had the auto key card case and the sentencing happen this week. A lot of people are focused on that. The ghost gun stuff, did that happen today? Was that supposed to happen today? We got that one happening. Then we've got in September soon, we have Oregon. You may have heard of Oregon. It's a state, and they have a lawsuit pending against Measure 114. Woods is answering the question. He says, I suspect many of the new gun owners will start selling their gear. Oh, fear bought guns, I bet you is what he's saying. I hope that's not the case, but I suspect that could be the case for a lot of them for sure. So Chris is saying a bit of a bomb dropped on Albuquerque. No open or concealed carry per the governor. Interesting. I think I saw something about that on the Instagrams, but with all the stuff going on, I didn't retain it. So the ghost gun case should have been happening today. We've got Oregon coming up this month. Also, at the end of this month, the Rahimi case moves on, or at least pieces of it move on. And then in October, towards the end of October, we've got the Koons Plankton case. Then in November, the case about the age. So essentially, here's how I should have said it. We've got the auto key card case, what's a machine gun. You've got the ghost gun case coming up. This should have been today. Then you've got Measure 114 in Oregon, essentially massive gun control being challenged in Oregon. Ballot initiative created, voter voted on gun control. The end of September, you have the case that decides on whether the government has the ability to deal with domestic issues, so non-federal issues. In October is the ban on sensitive locations, the challenge to that, banning guns from certain areas. Then in November, you have the 18 to 21, or I should keep saying it, 18 to 20-year-old, they have rights or not, that case. Then another case in November that's the same topic on whether or not people under 21 have rights. In November, there's a range that, what is this? I forget the name of which one this one is now. Some shooting range has something going on in November. And then there's 5 cases in New York that I'm aware of, and I don't know if they have any dates on them. They're just sort of pending at various stages. But then we have 2 comment periods right now. I read one of them yesterday, the ATF proposed powder storage log. So whatever they're going to consider explosives, which aren't defined in the new rule, they're going to create a bunch of rules on additional storage requirements and conditions for lawful storage for what quote unquote explosives. And so that's about a half an hour to read it and understand it. It's up to you, but it takes half an hour to read it. Is the audio doing okay? I'm assuming it's doing okay because nobody said anything. I do have a lot of fans going, though. I just thought of that. I didn't turn off any of my fans tonight. So then we've got the definition of engaged in the business, a new assault on ownership of firearms and being able to transfer them through selling them, and who can and that kind of thing. So that one's in comment period right now. It'll go until December 7th. I'm not sure how many people are paying attention to that and how many people are tracking it. I just started putting it on the list today, so I didn't see how many comments are in on that one. But there's about 327 comments in on the powder storage one. And that's up about 50 from whenever, or I think it was 327 when I put this together with the powder storage one. And then since then, last night there was like 370. So I think there's been another 50 comments this week. And I don't know the number of comments or what rate the comments are coming in and the engaged in business. But again, these are our opportunities to rally and create awareness within our own group and to use that to, create awareness potentially even beyond. So we have a massive opportunity right here. Now we get into the 2A stuff. Nobody's really commenting on it. So taking a look at the poll over there for people that are joining us live and on the main YouTube channel. I'll put the link out there just in case you're watching on the other channel. I don't really pay attention, but we simulcast this on 2 channels for some reason. It's probably a waste of time. We do that mainly so that I can keep a copy of the podcast on the podcast channel, but we put it on the big channel because we do this once a week and it's, the big weekly show. So if you're listening, sorry about that. If you're listening on the little channel and you want to vote, head over to the big channel to vote. You're welcome to watch on either channel, though. All right, so moving down to the stuff that we watched that was 2A related this week. First thing is Suicide Prevention Saturday, talking about the happiest moment of your life, and again, a constant continuing conversation about mental health awareness, and with that, suicide prevention. making that conversation more possible, more approachable, and more competent. Brooke from A Great Start Shooting School hosts that conversation each Saturday afternoon. Totally worth checking out. Check that out in less than 24 hours. Saw this on one of the channels that the back powder storage log thing going on, referring back to the comment periods, since black powder is considered an explosive at this point until they change definitions and consider more things explosive. Right now, people who own black powder are most affected by the potential new rule on requiring that they inform local fire departments of their situation on a regular basis. So the next thing is from Tiffany from Gun Owners America, or Melissa, or whatever her name is. The new girl from Gun Owners of America is talking about the billionaires. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if anybody watched this. 6 minutes and 44 seconds long, and I was down for about a half of it. And then when they get to the point where they could have really done something with it, they pandered. So almost well played, Gun Owners of America. But it's frustrating when we see the new player come in and just do the same old. My rights, my property, leave me alone. All right, so next up is the 2A cops, and they're talking about. Did I listen to this one? I might not have watched this one. I put this together earlier in the week, and I don't know if I watched this video. So I guess they're talking about some cop who was at January 6th. Then we've got John Lott down in Brazil. This is like an hour long. I tried listening to it, but the audio is horrible. So I post some things because they're interesting, and some things because they could use the extra attention, and some things because if they're, you've got nothing else to do, you might be interested in them. This is probably just to let people know that it happened and to assist John Lott's projects by giving them a link on a bigger channel, but it's essentially useless to try to watch this. John Lott's pretty good, but he's getting to be frustrating right now. So people go up and down in their effectiveness. Four Boxes Diner seems to be kind of stepping in and being that voice that we typically would have gone to John Lott for, it seems like. So he's down in Brazil talking about Brazilian issues. So I'm not sure what the deal is there, but we're going to talk about Liberty Safe, and we're going to talk about something else, right? We're not going to talk about the other things that are going on. So Four Boxes Diner talking about what was he talking about? Now I'm trying to remember what this video is all about. Okay, can't remember. That's the danger of doing this earlier in the week and being busy. I don't know. Woods is saying John Lott is a brilliant guy, but a so-so speaker. I agree. He's gotten better at speaking, but he's been hooked up with some people right now, and I don't know what they're doing with them. I'm not sure what's happening. He's hooked up with some people that aren't necessarily known for their brilliant decisions. Woods saying also he learns something every time he listens to Brooke. She makes the subject light and fun. Right on. So next up is mainstream media misinfo about, let's say, spree killers. They are not even close to being right-wingers. So I think I listened to this one, and I think what Wood said earlier. It's good that we're getting these points of view, but it would be great if we had way more people participating in expressing our positions so that our positions would be more clear and we'd learn to be more precise and efficient at making our points. When we rely on the people who are out there making money to offer our positions, we're stuck with the people who are out there making money offering our positions. Then we have the American Suppressor Association's policy update. Honestly, this one was not the best one. It was kind of short, and maybe there's just not going on. I think he even starts it with, this isn't a big month. They're super fixated on the wait times, and it drives me nuts. I wish we would not have an NFA, so worrying about the wait times, super fun for people who participate in the NFA, but I'd rather have a portion of their podcast dedicated to people who are working to defeat the NFA, to remove the NFA, rather than worrying about wait times. But I guess wait times are important for a bunch of people, and ASA has taken it on themselves to monitor that and talk about it. Did I just put the same guy in here? Nope, two different things. That was breaking news, and this is must-watch news. So this one is actually where he talks a bunch about all the different, like a summary of all the different court cases. Well, some of the court cases that are coming up, but that was about half of the things that we talked about earlier come from this video. He summarized a bunch of things. Not quite everything, though. Then we have the 2A cops. I did watch this one and their perspective on the Liberty Safe thing. So tetherball game, Liberty Safe, you're welcome. Like, come on. If we can't learn to walk past the barking dogs, then we stop at every barking dog. If we can't learn to walk past the barking dogs, then all they have to do to slow us down or stop us completely is throw out barking dogs. They don't even have to have biting dogs. They just have to have barking dogs. And we're going to stop and look and pay attention and have a debate about it. The cycles. It's the way that they catch people who are novices in sticky traps. You know, easel. There's not even any spikes or any hooks. It's just stickiness. And enough people get burned by those sticky traps, and they just leave. They walk away. They feel embarrassed. Doesn't have to be that way. And those of us that have been around for a while, your voice matters. You can let people know, hey, that's a sticky trap. Keep walking. That's just a dog yapping. Keep walking. Yeah, the dog barks. Yeah, it's noisy. Yeah, it's threatening. Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah. There's going to be plenty of them on our way. Let's keep walking and talk about it as we're walking. That's the voice that the veteran, not the veteran military, but the veteran who's been around the Second Amendment community for a while, the experience, the intermediate, that's the value you can bring to the conversations. You can watch people get stuck in the quagmire of the day-to-day conversations constantly, or you can urge them to move on. Hey, let's keep talking about that while we're walking. Okay, great. A dog barked. We're going to talk about lots of dogs barking. Let's do that while we're walking to our goals. Or not, you don't have to do anything. So patriots out there doing this series on the communists taking over in the 1970s, there's been a lot of bar graphs going around talking about how the wealth and the distribution changed in the 1970s. Isn't that neat how we got a little socialist chart going around on the social platforms and we're dancing on cue? Oh, we're not making enough money. We should be making more money. There's a lot of money out there. We're not making enough of it. So greed and socialism and capitalism, communism, all goes together. Capitalists get greedy and they work. Communists get greedy and they start to break things. All right, so then we get to gun talk. This one dude called the Foss. Every other week he does the mouse party, and in the weeks between he does the overnight show. The overnight show is usually a conversation focused on some aspect or some topic of the firearms community or the adjacent gun owners community, while the mouse party is more typically a topic-free get-together for people that are up at night and people that work night shifts and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. Another thing that's a lot of fun is the new series from She Fires on Sunday afternoons. She goes live on Sunday Vibes and talks about what's happening in her realm of the world and community. Then we get to the professor from, let's just say South Carolina, because I don't remember. It might be North Carolina, but honestly, do we need two Carolinas anymore? This isn't the olden days. It'd be a lot easier for those of us that could care less about how many Carolinas there are if there was just one big-ass Carolina, but whatever. So sociology of guns, student field trip. It's kind of interesting in a couple of ways to see because this is the 7th time I think he's taken students, and he's showed us a few times now what their experience is like. And as you can imagine, it's an awkward, nerdy, amateur experience for a bunch of kids. Kind of the polar opposite of what Tony Simon does as a comfortable, experienced, comfortable gun owner, right? Like entertaining gun owner. Like, wow, that's neat. I hear a lot of airplanes, and I have not heard that noise before. Wow, I wonder what that was. If I wasn't live right now, I'd be running up on top of the house to figure out what that is. That is a noise I've never heard before, and I live really close to a lot of airplanes. That was neat. Anybody hear that? Did it come through the microphone? It was like it banked. It was something going fast and banked near here. Probably peeled south. Anyway, so watching those are kind of interesting, sort of, to see how the youngins react and how they describe their experience. He did a thing over on the Instagram we'll talk about on Wednesday, where some of the kids describe their experience in a different way. Pretty interesting. Another thing that's in a different way is the Clover and Ghost, the Clost podcast. A lot of people call it the Clost or the Clover, Gover, like Ghover, Gover podcast. And a lot of people don't listen to it. A lot of people boycott it. A lot of people championing it, and a lot of people devoted to it. So I don't know where you fall on the spectrum, but it happens. It's every other Sunday, whether you like it or not. Let's see. Then we got the G23. Remember that guy? He used to host a show on Saturdays when he felt like it, and now he's walking around. He's just going out and doing things. So he's at, let's just say, Tuckahomack Falls, something like that, outside of Gold Hill, Oregon. So pretty cool. I always dig it when people show off their adventures and what's going on. So we get to see a little piece of what's happening in that part of the world, because they're usually pretty interesting. They tend to put these waterfalls in places where the terrain is interesting. So oftentimes the overlooks and the viewing areas for the waterfalls are interesting, beautiful or whatever. So yeah, interesting to see that. And if you ever travel, now you have a glimpse of what you might want to check out. So those are always cool to see. Woods is saying they have a C-130 flying in and out of Fort Lewis. Yeah, C-130s are so common here. I don't even hear those. Same as like Apaches and A-10s, F-16s. We hear those daily. But then they pick stuff out of the graveyard and fly it around like a C-5 or the weird stuff. And those are the ones that have the weird engines. But then they'll do like, what time of year is it? They'll do the air show. And then they'll bring in all the old-fashioned planes, and they sound like engines up there. They totally sound different. This was some sort of like ramjet. This was some sort of like no moving pieces engine. This just sounded like a rocket or something. But it sounded like it came up and banked, and it was just a weird sound. But maybe it's just the atmosphere. Maybe it was just a truck or something with the atmosphere being weird out there. All right, so then we get Gizzard, who had a show just before this. A lot of people call it the warm-up show, the opening act. But we could be the opening act for his Friday show next week. It depends on how you want to look at it. Anyway, Gizzard always gives our gear websites a plug, so we appreciate that. In fact, I appreciate it so much that I am going to also do an ad for our gear websites.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's funny, the puppy is so accustomed to that. He's like got a reflex. So whenever he hears the Gear Websites commercial, he comes running over because he thinks the show's about to end or start. You can't never tell, I guess. So thanks to Gizzard for putting the plug in each week. Travis is both eating and losing weight somehow. So here's him and his one friend driving around eating, and they went to some soul food place and ate barbecue. And then he talked about how he lost 30 pounds in 90 days. So Travis over there doing all kinds of interesting stuff. Also hosting the, why can't I think of it? The Caliber Corner. There we go. Podcast on Saturdays again. Clover started doing his podcast with a bang by shooting off guns live, and YouTube got all mad, canceled his channel, took his channel down off of YouTube, charged him, sued him, but then Clover sweet talked his way back into getting out of the lawsuit, getting paid by Amazon, by YouTube, and then having his channel reinstated. So pretty eventful week for Clover if you're not paying attention. All of that happened to him since Tuesday this week. Barbecue did a book club. Woods bullied Barbecue into doing a book club. You know how book nerds are. They're often pushing their way around and insisted, kind of forced, coerced, I guess might be the right word, Barbecue into doing a book club. This month they did the book Gun Safety in the Home by Masad Ayub. I don't know. Did he say what the next book is? Or is he having some kind of competition for it? I don't remember now. There's a couple of radio shows we listen to each week. The first one is usually, well, the main one is Rapid Fire Radio. I must be getting tired. Rapid Fire Radio on Wednesdays, where Toby hosts the show from Cape Gun Works out of Massachusetts. They also host the 2A Tuesday segment of the Grace Curley Show on Tuesdays, and those are both worth checking out. Looks like they're having some growing pains right now as they work with their microphones and their setup. But, they're basically dealing with the pause between the out-of-session attempt to push 4420 in Massachusetts, and then its unsuccessful attempt. And then now with the I guess at the end of this month, their legislator comes back. I think it's like on the 27th of this month or something. Their legislator comes back, and they'll be fighting, 4420 through the normal channels of a bill going through committees and then so forth. But with this like full pressure and support of the people who'd wish to blame guns and gun owners for the poor policy that results in the violence and the crimes that are associated with, or that are attempted to be associated with, the ownership of firearms. So they need to desperately to create that distraction and that marginalization, so that they can keep our resources from actually fighting, the poor policy that creates the situations in the first place and churns out the people that are desperate enough to use violence as an answer. So Toby's got a lot going on his plate, and that show is worth listening to each Wednesday. There's Michael Cargill does his shows. It's kind of jumped around. I think they did one on Wednesday, but they don't post it until just when it happens. And with my schedule, I haven't been able to watch that one. A couple of really good military interviews. I mentioned this one last week, and I'll mention it again. This is like a 4 hour and 20 minutes, 4 hours and 20-minute long interview with a dude who was at Ruby Ridge. He was at Waco, and then he quit the FBI on 9/11, where his last day was 9/11. It's not like 9/11 caused him. He just coincidentally happened to be filling out the last bit of his paperwork to retire from the FBI hostage rescue team on September 11th. So then he had a whole nother interesting career since then. And this is essentially the part one of a very long interview. And this is 4 hours and 20 minutes with this guy. Super interesting. Very, very interesting conversation for sure. Well worth listening to. Next one is Marsoc guy on Combat Story. Oh, shoot, I got to look at him to figure out if I remember which one this was. I know, I haven't listened to this one yet. So that one might be good, or it might not be. It's probably good, but I haven't listened to it yet. Then we get to the stuff that we did this week. Is that what happened? I have to find out. I didn't know that. Thanks for the info, though. So we posted some stuff this week. It looks like it all got jammed up here, but that's a factor of copying and pasted out of YouTube. YouTube doesn't have a lot of formatting. They have a lot going on. Formatting their video descriptions is not priority for them and never has been. They've never given us any other formatting other than spaces. So copying it from there and posting it into a place that offers some formatting is usually chaotic, and that's what happened at the end here. It got all smashed up. So what we'll do is just quickly scroll back up to the top here, and we'll hit these little dots and hit edit. And then we'll close that tab in case it's slowing us down. Oh, you know what might be slowing us down? The stupid ATF tab. That might be slowing me down. I'm going to blame that ATF tab for slowing me down. Anyway, we're going to scroll down to the bottom here, and then G23, I mentioned earlier, won our random patch giveaway earlier this week. I thought I had a bunch of money. I almost had a bunch of money, but then I didn't. So as soon as I get a bunch of money, we'll be sending stuff again. And why isn't it letting me edit down here? It's super weird. So G23 was the first to experience some of that, I guess. It's weird that it's not letting me format down here. Okay, so I guess I'm not going to be able to format down there. We just won't do it. So we have a couple of things going on besides the bracket. So we had a bracket, Sunday night, I think? Or maybe Monday? No, it was Sunday night. Then we updated the calendar, and that's what won't let me format here. But we have a couple of things worth mentioning this month that are coming up still. First one will be the USCCA has their Concealed Carry and Defensive Expo in Milwaukee. That's going to be 8th through the 10th. And then on the 9th, we have Veterans Top Shot Invitational. That's at Cape Gun Works in Massachusetts. A competition for people that benefits two different veterans charities in the area that the shop is in. There's still slots open according to, or as of Wednesday also. Then on the 16th and 17th is Dragon Man's big machine gun shoot, their 31st annual machine gun shoot, the first one that they'll have with an industry range day. So you'll be able to, well, I shouldn't call it that. I guess just a regular old, I guess they do call it industry range day. And so a bunch of people from industry are bringing their wares, their different products, and you can go fiddle with them and shoot them. And Dragon Man's is incredible. You can go to the museum and paintball and the racetracks and the campground. It's amazing. Definitely take advantage of Dragon Man's while we live in 2023. And Dragon Man's is a destination in Colorado Springs that you could do. And if you don't do it, you're going to have to be the one explaining to yourself and your family, your young children, why you didn't go to Dragon Man's. But we'll move on. You could also go to, oh, you know what I didn't put in here? TriggerCon. TriggerCon is that same weekend. So if you want to go to Kansas, some people go to Kansas. You can go to TriggerCon. And you can come to Arizona. AmCon is the Alternative Multimedia Convention. I didn't name it. I'm just telling you what it's called. That's September 22nd, the Friday before the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which will be in Phoenix this year. Some people are going to it. Then you've got the TriggerCon. Oh, I already said that. I guess I just had it in the wrong spot. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I had TriggerCon on the same weekend as Gun Rights Policy. It's not the same weekend as Dragon Man's. I was mixed up. So that's everything that's going on. Well, everything on our list that we're going to tell you about. There are some other things. What was the other thing? Besides TriggerCon, there was another event on the on Dragon Man's weekend, I think. So you can go check that out at Gear or at Gun Calendars. I guess we can go check that out real quick. Oh, duh. So the other thing that's happening on Dragon Man's weekend is Gun Prom in San Diego, I think. So they do a couple of them each year, and Gun Prom will be coming up from like 5:30 to 10:30 this Saturday in California. So that's the other thing I was forgetting. Let's see. So since we're in here, we'll take a quick look. What is today? There. So next week, as I mentioned, you got some things happening over the weekend. Veterans Top Shot and USCCA's X. It's also the anniversary of Alaska passing constitutional carry in 2008. So whatever state just got number 27, Nebraska, or Alaska was number 2 or number 1, depending on how you want to count it. And 2008 is when it all started. And here we are, 27 states later in, what are we, 15 years? So pretty cool. Next week, you've got Hugo Schmeiser, some guy in Germany who invented the MP this and that, and the Sturmgewehr everybody likes. You got Richard Gatling being born on the same day, I think. You've also got the assault weapons ban being sunsetted. That happened on a September 13th. How many people remember going to gun shows the next day? Some of us do. Browning patented the lever action with a magazine in 1892. So let's not forget that Browning didn't just patent some of the most interesting and useful guns, but he also patented like a lot of guns. He brought us from bolt actions to machine guns by inventing all the lever actions and semi-autos and stuff first. Let's see. Then we have Browning semi-automatic pistol patented the next day on a different year. And then the Missouri constitutional carry in 2016. That brought them to number 11. So you kind of get some of the pace there. Then, of course, Dragon Man's and Gun Prom coming up next weekend. If you really want to know, next Sunday is the day that the Glock pistol was patented, which also makes it the day that the Colt revolver was patented. So that'll be next Sunday, the 10th. And that's interesting because Glock and Colt were born on the same day, different year, but the same day, and they patented their guns on the same day, different years, but the same day. So is Colt a reincarnation, or is Glock just a reincarnation of Colt? I'm just saying. Woods was saying that the book club is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Dale Carnegie, 1936. So the angle for 2A is how to talk about the Second Amendment effectively and influence people. That's interesting. And there's definitely ways to apply that. So that is a good book. It's worth listening to for sure. It's good for business. It's good for outlook on life, and it's good for mental health so that you don't assume too much from interactions. You know, a lot of times people just haven't put a lot of thought to what they expect out of interactions. So real great perspective in that book. All right, T. So that is the gun calendars, one of the many projects that we have out there for essentially anybody who wants to look at them. You see there's no ads that pop up or nothing. The only ads we have over there is that we support the Second Amendment, Minuteman University, another project that we do. Every Second Matters, another project that we do. Second Amendment Foundation, right? Arizona Citizens Defense League, because we live here. JPFO, Gun Owners of America, and our own website. So aside from a couple of little banners and stuff, We have links these are rotating links for people and organizations that are doing good work, and then our Patreons. So we don't have a bunch of ads and stuff over here. We're not trying to pressure nobody into nothing. We just offer a calendar when you go here. There's the same kind of information distributed in different ways. So if you're just looking for shooting matches or military anniversaries or specific dates for one of the branches, if you're looking for holidays or some specific thing that may have happened, like a rally or one of the big firearms events, like a match or one of the industry get-togethers, all of those have their own places over here. We have other websites where we do the reviews. This is mostly the calendars and the schedules, the archive of when things have happened in the past, and then the calendar of events of when things are going to happen in the future, mainly so that we have that available for people that want to use it. And it's at guncalendars.com, so it's easy to find. Again, it's our Patreons that make that kind of project possible. We have a bunch of those out there. We'll probably start featuring them on the show just so that they don't go unthanked. The Patreons and channel members don't go unthanked for providing those. So that was what we were checking out this week in 2A. It's not by any means the whole list. In fact, by design, we're not paying attention to most of the yip yap and the holding the microphone up to the barking dog. Our goal is to get somewhere. Our goal is to remove the NFA. Our goal is to educate enough people that guns are a red herring, that the gun is not an inherently violent or bad instrument. It's simply an item that is unknown by so many people that unscrupulous people are willing to exploit the rift of knowledge about guns and demonize gun owners, marginalize gun ownership. And I think there's a way that we can, as individuals, work towards removing that burden, that hurdle, I guess, and remove that in unawareness. There's people out there that are doing great work. We can champion and amplify their messages. We can learn from and hone the comments and the conversations to have the most effective communication. And we have the right to expect that in 2023. We by no means need to cycle through failed money-making BS over and over when our rights and our time is at stake here. When we finish explaining guns to everyone so that they leave us alone, we'll have accomplished something that allows other realms of our of our society, our culture, our community to do the same. And we'll move on from the bickering that the exploiters are using against us. So there's lots of goals here, and I believe that y'all have the interest and right to expect everyone to be moving towards goals, right? So thank you for joining us, where we shine a light on that each week. I'll continue to do so, but I'm not owned by nobody. Nobody can tell me what to say. People can help us make the stuff said, though, thanks to our Patreons, to make it possible for us to spend the time here, and our channel members. Of course, you could also buy stuff over at our store, and that helps us do what we're doing. Gabriel is saying, I lobbied Missouri legislature leadership extensively in 2016 to override the governor's veto of constitutional carry. I was an advocate before ever having a YouTube account. Right on. That's awesome, dude. Anytime you want to archive that, there's value. I can tell you from my position as someone who people will come up and ask me stuff and come up and tell me stuff and come up and, I don't know what they assume they're going to get from me, but they'll tell me a lot of stuff. And I can tell you that a lot of people, I follow as many people as I can who come up and make themselves known to me. And some of them do a lot, and some of them aren't able to do much. And some of them could probably do more if they had a little insight, encouragement, and inspiration. So anybody who's done something in the past, you're not obligated to do it all. But if you're able to share what you've done, please know that you're inspiring and informing the next group of people. So there is value in sharing what you've done. It's not bragging and it's not boasting. It's simply encouraging and empowering the person who's coming along next to find your baton, to pick it up and take it as far as they can. So I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow for the Ask Gun questions with Tony and Clover. I think Travis will be live in the morning. Brooke does her show in the afternoon, worth listening to, worth being part of in the live comments. And then Foss will probably post a, what do we got? A overnight tomorrow as well.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Yep, Gabriel saying thanks to you. And I'll end the poll here. How was this week for 2A? Most people said it was fair. Some people said it was good, and a couple of people said it was bad. So nobody said it was a good week for 2A. You're able to have whatever opinion you want of it, but don't think of a black eye in training as a bad week. Getting a black eye in training is so that you don't get, an eye missing in battle. So I hear what you're saying, that if you think it was a bad week, but we need to start taking these bad weeks in stride and consider them the stairways that get us in shape for the long hauls and the sprints that we'll have to make together. But yeah, thanks for participating in the poll. I don't know what happened to it. I hit enter. We didn't end the stream yet. Something's being glitchy. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for answering the poll, and thanks for joining us.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.